Welcome back, guys. So today, what I'm going to show you is how do we actually make use of the data we're fetching from all these API builds we're doing and all these projects for different clients we're doing. How do we actually put that to good use and let our client use it? Or if you're a business person watching this, welcome. It's not going to be too nerdy or too technical. Basically, I'm going to show you how we get this data that we want from a website or an API, just a given data source, and how do we put it into a Google spreadsheet? Because, that's what ultimately we're going to be using in a business context, or our project managers are going to be using, or our clients are going to be using is Google Sheets, or just some UI that's easy for them, that's non-technical. They can do some analysis and they can play around with the data, and that data gets updated just over and over automatically with the thing we're building. So just a quick recap. In the previous video, I went and built this basic API integrated with this basic API that a client asked for me. So my client approached me and said, with all the craziness that's going on with the economy at the moment and the markets and this and that, we need to keep an eye on certain topics that are relevant to our business and our company. And they didn't want to keep an eye on 20 different news sites. They wanted to basically have one source that they could keep an eye on. And that's basically what I'm building now. Is I found this great API. Shout out to News API. It seems like a really great source. And News API, they have an endpoint that we can get all the top headlines for a given country from tons of different sources, or from a specific country. You can see here I defaulted to South Africa because that's where I'm at. And then I've added on another function to their endpoint, which lets us get news articles based on anything we want. So this is obviously moving more in the direction of what I'm actually building for my client and what the client needs from us. So quick summary of what we need. We've got our API, we know where we're getting our news articles from. We need a Google spreadsheet, obviously, if we're going to write to Google spreadsheets. So I've already put that together. I've got just news with Gspread. And the one thing with Google and their APIs, which can be a bit tricky to people, is sort out the permissions and authentication. So fortunately, I'm not going to step through that too much in this video, but basically, there's a great Twilio tutorial. It's an easy way to read and write to a Google spreadsheet in Python. And this one I found is the most straightforward. It uses the most simple language. It gives you like steps. Click on this, create a new project if you don't have a project already, ensure you got an API, etc., etc., etc. This one I'll link in the description, and it's the most straightforward one I found. I'm not going to step through it right now. But basically, you go do this, you've got your spreadsheet, awesome, and then you're going to get back a JSON file, which is what we use to make sure Gspread can send information to our spreadsheet. So we'll get something back that looks a bit like this. So I've blocked out a lot of the information, and pretty much all of the information. But basically, the important thing is going to be this client email. So we get the client email back, and what I'm going to do is we need to take that client email to make sure we have permissions to write to the Google spreadsheet we created. So we take that client email, we're going to share it, and then we just copy paste that in. And then we click send. And that's all I need to do, really. Okay, so now using Gspread, I'm not going to show you how to set that all up and everything, but with Gspread, we're going to be able to write now to that permission file with the given credential file we have, and then everything's going to be great. Okay, so now that we sent that along, we're going to be able to write to our Google spreadsheet that we got open here from the Python script we're using as long as we obviously use the credential files that we just downloaded. And just to show you, when we make a request to get the news articles back, we're going to get these back. A list of individual chunks of content, published at, description, title, author, etc. Great. Okay, let me quickly run through this one. So we've got our news API, and I've got a template that I use for interacting with Google Spreadsheets. I'll share this as well, because honestly, I find it's such a headache sometimes to get integrated with Google Spreadsheets and all this type of stuff. So I literally have a template that I copy paste, and then I'm obviously modifying each time that I work with it. So I'm just going to copy this over. Alright, so in a quick break that I took, which you can see, I copied over this client secret JSON file that we've downloaded, because you can see that's how I reference it in the Google Sheet template that I use, which again, I'm going to share with you guys. And now I'm just going to copy this across. Create a new file. Let's call it News API Fetcher. So this is going to be the main script that we run. Because basically, now you can see we open up everything. We load the credential files in. So now we've got permissions. Okay, now what we need to do is, ideally you could fetch this from the environment, but I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna copy paste this name over. And then also we have the worksheet number 1, which is great. Okay, sheet 1. We see which headers we want to write. Okay, so articles. I'm going to say we just want the title, we want the URL, and we want the published at. So let's quickly add on those headers. So header 1, let's say that's going to be title. Let's say URL is going to be the second one, and then let's say the published at. Okay, great. Now, obviously, we need to fetch our data from somewhere. So, from News API client. Actually, no. We're going to import as client. That's great. Okay. So now we're in our main project. Basically, all it's doing here is we're trying to create that worksheet that we have said that we want to use. If it doesn't exist, it gets created and then adds the headers. So actually what I'm going to do is, to be safe, I'm going to delete this worksheet. Actually can't, but I'll rename it. Just because I want to create those headers. Okay, and now we would write the row data. So we need the actual row data. So say articles is equal to get news articles. Okay, I've actually just got this copied across to keep it simple for myself. Okay. Okay, so basically I want to get data from a week ago, and we have that over there. Let's just quickly check. Okay, data format, that's all good. Okay, so we get back the data. Okay, so we say articles is equal to data articles, and now we want to iterate through. Okay, and now all we need to do is fetch the data that's in here. So quickly we're going to say article, get the, which order we did, title, forgot a closing tag there, and then we're going to say give us the URL. And then we're going to say article is published at. Okay, great. Now this should be ready to go pretty much. Now we're going to quickly go test this out. sheet 1 was created. We can literally see this happening as we go. And there we go. Literally, it's getting written as we watch it. Like, how cool is that? Okay, I'm going to stop this just because there's quite a lot of different articles in there, but that's essentially it. Like, this was something a client was quite excited about, in that they were like, this is a great opportunity for us. We really can kind of stay on top of things, but we're having to look at so many different websites. And obviously I was wasting so much time having to keep eyes, having to keep update, have to remember to do it every day when they've got so many other things to do. But now every day, if they wanted to, well, I'll go set this up. You just have this running automatically, and every day they open up the spreadsheet. They've got these articles, access to these articles from all these different places, and it's the most recent ones from the last week, the most popular ones. And yeah, you can see, you can do some analysis on that. You can and yeah, you can see they can do some analysis on that if they want, and they can just really use it to help build themselves, their company, and do what they need to do. So I hope that you all enjoyed that, and it wasn't too long, and it wasn't too short, and it wasn't too technical, and it all made sense. And if you ran into any issues along the way, I know I had to skip over some of the more kind of step-by-step stuff, just because it would take a bit too long, but the tutorials I've linked are great in regards to the permissions. And then hopefully everything else I've included is understandable, and you can link back to some of my other videos to understand as well. And I hope you're just starting to see a bit more the patterns in regards to, okay, how do we go fetch data? How do we process that data? And then now, how do we save that data? How do we save it somewhere that's going to stay? How do we save it that it's going to be easier for ourselves or potentially non-technical people to interact with that data, especially from a business side if you're working in a team or you're building this out for a client. And also, if you are a business person watching this and you wanted to learn a bit more about technical stuff, I hope this is starting to show you how these things actually happen, where data comes from, how it's collected, and then what the options are in regards to having it be saved somewhere that you can interact with and do your analysis, and just a more friendly of an interface instead of a technical mumbo jumbo. And also, if you're from a technical background or you're learning to be more technical, don't forget I've got my free guide in the comments, well, in the video description, and that's going to save you a lot of time from the mistakes and things you probably didn't learn if you've been teaching yourself. And this is the things I've seen from students over and over, and also just from working on projects myself over and over, things which have saved me time. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe so you get new notifications for videos, and yeah, leave comments, and feedback's always welcome because it helps me know what you find interesting and what you don't find interesting, or what was confusing or what wasn't confusing. So yeah, until next time.